Happy Friday. So posting a video today, not a really cool one, unfortunately. Kind of a lessons learned and what not to do. As some of you know, and I think I've mentioned this before, I've been doing this for a pretty long time, just as a hobby, on and off, literally since the late 80s. Literally like 1988, 1989 through the 90s. And I went to college. I didn't really do this. I lived in New York City. I didn't really do this, but been doing it on and off for many years, having these animals like, amphibians, frogs, toads, salamanders, things like that. Mainly salamanders, but two crappy things happened. One, I got those cave salamanders, captive bred cave salamanders were in pretty good shape. They're very, very young and very small. Like this big, like really small. One of them was like that big. They were eating like fruit flies and pinhead crickets. I had my tank up and running for about a month and a half before I actually put them in. I mean, I made the video. It looks like doing it all at the same time, obviously, but no, I let the tank go. Beneficial bacteria build up. And unfortunately, two of them died, quickly, like within like the first 2 days I had them. I don't know why. The water parameters were good. All the microfauna is fine, like the ghost shrimp I had, the narrate snails. I don't know what it was. I was like frantically checking the water. So I took the last one out and I have him now in a container with just some RO water, dampened paper towels. He seems fine. He's eating. So that's all good, but I don't know what happened. I talked to the breeder, who is a very, very knowledgeable person, and basically said that with younger salamanders, particularly this species, Urcia, Eurcyea, or however you spell it, for cave salamanders, they're pretty delicate. So even a little bit of a change in the bacteria of the substrate, so like the aquatic substrate, the moss I had in there, all of that stuff could just shock them. And I've never had that. I've had red salamanders, spring salamanders, and other salamanders, slimy salamanders in the past. Even a long-tailed salamander, which is very similar to a cave, from a larva all the way to an adult. And I've never had this problem, but I've never kept these, and so everything is fine in there, but I should have probably introduced them slowly over time to the substrate, is what he was suggesting, and he's right. So now I'm doing that. But I've never had that problem, and look what happened. So really sucks. I'm pissed, mad at myself, mad at the situation, but this stuff happens, unfortunately, in the hobby. So that's one thing that sucks. The other thing, and this is all on me, is so I was installing Mist King setups in all of my tanks that didn't have them. And I had the lid off on my green frog enclosure. So firstly, the frog I had in there for the first 6 hours that when I got him was actually a juvenile bullfrog. And a couple of you guys pointed that out. I knew that as soon as I took pictures of him and realized he didn't have the dermal ridges on both sides. And so I actually let him go. I mean, these are literally right behind my house. I'm like looking right now at where I caught him, right off my deck, right down this hill where I live. So I let him go, got a green frog. Green frog was great. Had him in there for less than a week. Was installing these Mist Kings. And this happened a little while ago now. And I installed the Mist King. The frog was in there. Everything was fine. I had the door open to outside because I was cutting some wood for something else. And, a day later I looked and the frog's not in there. Tore the tank down, looked for him. Frog's not in there. I only had the lid off for 20 minutes. And I thought he was in there, because he was in there when I first took it off, and he's a big frog. I'm almost positive that he got out and left my house, and he's gone. I checked my house. There is a possibility. I checked my basement like a DE agent looking for pounds of drugs, right? He was not in my basement. There is a chance he could have come up 2 flights of stairs. It's not impossible, and dried up somewhere, and that would suck. But always remember, have a tight fitting lid on your tops at all times. I was a little naive, or a little, not naive. I probably thought, this is fine. He's not going to do it. Statistically, he's not going to jump out. And I had the lid partially on, but guess what? He's not there anymore. So I'm hopeful that he's, back at the stream and whatever, but I don't know. I looked everywhere. I can't find him. I tore things apart, closets, under tables, behind furniture, everywhere. Looked in the toilet, my sump pump is sealed, so he couldn't get in there. So I have no idea. So I'm not going to go get another frog. I just don't want to do that. I have 3 tadpoles in there. I'm pretty sure they're green tadpoles, but I can't honestly tell the difference a lot of times between a bullfrog tadpole and a green tadpole until they get a little bit older. I'm pretty sure they're green tadpoles though, green frog tadpoles, sorry. But not, I'm just going to leave it like that right now. Don't want to go take another animal, another frog out of my backyard. Just don't want to do that. But so, you know, it happens, unfortunately. And I haven't had an animal escape for a very, very long time, like literally probably since I was a kid. So I'm a little upset at myself for that. But, you got to keep the lids on. We're responsible for these animals, and it happens to all of us, happens to the best of us. And, you just got to be really careful with that kind of stuff. And you've also got to be careful when you have really young animals. Like I said, I had these salamanders before, these other species of lungless salamanders, red salamanders, black chin red salamanders, spring salamanders, long-tailed salamanders, and they were all fine. But in this case, for whatever reason, there was just something in the tank that was not a systemic issue for the other microfauna because they're all fine. But for whatever reason, it affected salmon, and I'll never know. I don't know what did it. You got to be, this is a tough hobby sometimes. It's not, people think it might be easy. It's not easy keeping some of these species. Tiger salamanders, pretty easy. Keeping lungless salamanders, very small, delicate salamanders, is hard. It's like keeping dart frogs. It's probably harder than keeping dart frogs, to be honest. So, you know, live and you learn. Like I said, I created this channel not just to show you cool builds and all the cool stuff that I do and why I'm good at doing this, but also the things that I failed at, and things that, I should have been more careful on. And so, here it is. But anyways, hope you guys have a good weekend, and I am going to be working on a new build, a terrarium. No water features or anything like that. But it's going to be a little bit of ways away, but I'm going to start on it soon. And so I'll have a video out about that. And until then, take care.